Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised our DNA. Laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like they be zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside. Why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stack cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of those lies as Arjun act like he's surprised.
Oh, I don't have it in me today. I almost threw up right there, dude. I almost threw up right there.
Well, you know, that's not exactly the start that I was hoping for, but I will just have to send my apologies to all of our fans, to all of our audience members.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
And the second one, all right, I guess I'm sending 2 apologies today. You know, sometimes after a long day of work, maybe, you know, we have a couple of brews and then the gases bubble up inside and we can't do anything but release it. We have to let it go. And Don is basically showing his pride in a way. He's carrying over the 4th of July celebrations. Instead of launching fireworks, he's making his own, you know, gastroenteritis type of bubble popping out of his mouth.
Wait, GI disease? What are you
well, you know, it's something, man. It's something. I'm sure, you know, our audience appreciates your sound effects. They're very well appreciated.
I think so. I think so.
But, you know, I think... How has your week been so far? It's
good. You know, I can't complain. It's a little hot.
Yeah?
It's been a little hot. That's the only thing I can really complain about.
Humidity is high for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't live that close to the ocean like you do, man. I'm still in the how do we say, projects of California.
So you define the projects of California as Pico Rivera?
You know, it's a tough place, man. It's tough.
I suppose it can't be as tough as where I'm from. I mean, I'm from the south side of Santa Ana.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
You
Where
know?
you're from? Where you're from? Where you're at?
Okay, maybe I'm flexing the truth a little bit there. But you know, south side of Santa Ana is like probably the toughest part, wouldn't you say? It's like bordered some pretty bad cities. You got Costa Mesa
I think so,
on the
man.
bottom.
You know, if you're not carrying hundreds, you're definitely the odd one out there.
I know. I always make sure I pack a few bills
There
on
we
my
go.
way to the Rite Aid. But you know, let me ask you this though before we jump right into it. Are you a man of arid weather or humid weather? Like if you have to choose between one, dry heat or kind of like a really, you know, like a wet type of heat?
I would much rather have humid heat.
Really?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
makes you sweat so much, dude.
It does, but then you could say, oh, it's because it's humid out there. If it's dry and you're sweating, you're like, yo, what the fuck, dude? Why are you so wet?
Yeah, I'm just out of shape, bro.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know, like if it's humid, it's a little different. You got a little cop out that you can use, right?
I know, but it's always sad. Like on some days when it's super humid, you could just be standing there and you're just beating with sweat. And it's like, damn, I wish I could tank. I wish I could, you know, put the stopgap on, but it just keeps coming out.
Yeah,
Keeps
dude. No,
coming out.
I just feel like sicker in dry heat. Like it humidity, like you don't get as thirsty as when you're in dry heat. You know, there's no oases that you are searching for in humidity.
So what's your medical explanation of the dehydration from dry heat?
No,
Like, how
fucking-
come we get so dehydrated
no
and
idea.
thirst? No
I
idea.
have no idea, dude. It just fucking sucks, and your body's like, what the fuck? That's my medical explanation.
Are you the type that gets really chapped lips in the dry heat?
Oh yeah, man.
Like-
Whenever I'm smoking all that stuff, and then my lips just,
Go.
sandpaper.
Blunt lips. Blunt. What do they call them? Blunt lips? We'll call them blunt lips for now.
You call it dry mouth, but yeah.
That sounds like something that elderly people get, and they have to take that little spray to like lubricate their mouth and then put the dentures back in.
Hey, dude, I wonder if do you remember Listerine? They used to have like little pocket
Remember
sprays.
Listerine? I use Listerine.
Do you still use them? Are they still being sold?
Well, I use the bottle, like the liquid
Oh
variety.
no, yeah, but I'm saying like, remember how they came out with, like those pocket strips?
Oh, I
Something like
used
that.
to rock them.
No, I did too. I'm wondering if they still make them.
They do, yeah. I saw them at
Oh,
the
shit.
the CVS the other day.
Yeah, man.
I don't like them though because I think they're too potent.
No, no, I was gonna bring it up because I was like, I remember. Well, I stopped using them once they started coming out with like different flavors. Where it was like there was like a cinnamon one, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't want a fucking hot tamale right now, you know? Like, I want my breath to smell good, not like fucking cinnamon.
Sure.
You know?
Cinnamon smells good though, man. I like cinnamon. I don't
Yeah,
know
but
why.
you mix that with the bacteria in your mouth, and then it smells like ass.
Well, maybe your mouth smells like
Yeah,
ass.
man. I put a lot of things in my mouth, and cinnamon does not work out with that
I know.
bacteria flora that I
I
got.
hear you. We will segue quickly out of
Yeah.
that. So, last time, maybe to the benefit of the audience, we did a rather large segment.
Wait, really quick.
Yeah.
Can we just, applaud ourselves here? It is a Wednesday night.
Hey, you're right.
You know
you're
what?
right.
Man.
Clap for us. Clap for us,
That
right?
was
I'm
good.
patting my own shoulder. Right
Oh,
now.
there it is. I'm not that low, but I'm just gonna I'm gonna give it one of those.
Oh, there you go. He's clapping some cheeks over there. He's clapping some cheeks for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, for the fans that know, the loyal fans, the loyal subscribers, our 6 subscribers, who I'm very, very proud of, they have been following us through ups and downs. Sometimes we come in on a Sunday, sometimes on a Thursday, rarely ever on a Wednesday. But finally today, thanks to the coordination of efforts by both the D and the A, we are coming to you live, quote unquote live, on a Wednesday night.
Well, I got the stream going, so it is live.
That's true. Maybe we should we promote that? Should we promote the stream?
Not yet. Not
yet,
until we
not
have
yet.
a real steady schedule.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think we don't want to get the hopes up too much for consistency.
Yeah, people are gonna tune in and be like, "Yo, where's Don burping?" Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I missed the burp. Just silence. Maybe he wasn't gassy today. Maybe the gastroenteritis did not happen today.
I swallowed too many Listerine strips. I'm gonna go look.
There
for
you
them.
go. There you go. So obviously last week we did a hefty segment on Kanye West, and we talked about, one of the old skeletons in his closet with the whole Confederate flag and how he rocked it in his own way. And on top of that, we talked about the major news story, which broke on the 4th, Kanye West putting his hat into the ring to become president of the United States. Not in 2024, no, but 2020 this year.
He's holding on to that, what is that, the VMA award shout out that he had saying he was running in 2015.
Yeah.
Coming up. It's true, man.
That's right.
Illuminati.
I'm holding up the diamond sign right now, as Don said that. Hova. But so I didn't know what to make of it, really. We had some theories. I thought, oh, for sure, this is a marketing ploy. He's not serious about this. He just wants his name out there again. He wants to be relevant. But then this morning, I guess this article came out from Forbes, and it's called Kanye West Says He's Done with Trump, Opens Up About White House Bid, Damaging Biden and Everything in Between. Rather large title by the author Randall Lane, who is part of the Forbes staff there. And he did a very interesting piece here. I guess it was a wide-ranging interview where multiple subjects were covered, but primarily this focused in on Kanye's presidential bid. How serious he is, what does it mean about his relationship with Trump, who are his advisors, and does he care about what Biden's saying? So, before reading this, I thought Kanye, this is just typical Kanye West. Maybe he's on the meds again. Maybe he's going crazy again. Maybe he's going to claim that he has a different mental disorder this time. But after reading it, I think Don and I both agreed there may be some fire behind this. There may be some real gumption behind what he's trying to do here. And so I think the best thing to do to kind of break down this article for the audience here is to go through some of these things one by one in terms of the major points that came across it. So I'd like to go through the bullet points first at the top of the article. And so apparently he's running for president in 2020 under a new banner, the Birthday Party. So instead of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or Green or Tea Party, whatever it is, he's calling it the Birthday Party. And I guess the main guidance is coming from Elon Musk. And he chose already his VP candidate. Unlike Biden over here, who's taken a long time, he might not even be ready for the announcement until August. Kanye chose some preacher from Wyoming, which is a very interesting choice. I know nothing about this lady, but it might be a good choice for him. Who knows? The starting quote here from Kanye is, like anything I've ever done in my life, I'm doing to win. He's doing it to win.
Strong
And
words.
Strong words. Strong words.
I think we could all, as a child, get that poster, and we would be where he's at right now.
Yeah, I mean, basically what you're saying is, if you have the mind of a 8-year-old or 9-year-old, you're pretty much Kanye West. The way that you view the world, the way that you have policies, the way...
That's not what I said, but go on.
I think that's precisely what you're saying, because, I'm going to jump to something a little bit later on in this thing. I'm going to search Wakanda real quick. I'm going to Control F for it right now.
That's the last bullet point.
Okay, but let's go into like the categories, because I feel like the categories have more weight to them.
Okay.
So the cool thing about this article by Randall Lane, he breaks everything up into like Kanye's stance on different things, like his position, his opinion or his lack thereof of certain things. And so I'm gonna read to you his Wakanda management model. And to truly understand it, I think the whole quote needs to be read. So I'm going to just go through this one. A lot of Africans do not like the movie Black Panther and representation of themselves in Wakanda. But I'm going to use the framework of Wakanda right now because it's the best explanation of what our design group is going to feel like in the White House. That is a positive idea. You got Kanye West, one of the most powerful humans. I'm not saying the most powerful, because you got a lot of alien level superpowers, and it's only collectively that we can set it free. Let's get back to Wakanda. Like in the movie in Wakanda, when the king went to visit that lead scientist to have the shoes wrap around her shoes, just the amount of innovation that can happen, the amount of innovation in medicine, like Big Pharma. We're going to work, innovate together. This is not going to be some Nipsey Hussle being murdered. They're doing a documentary. We have so many soldiers that die for our freedom of information, that there is a cure for AIDS out there. There's going to be a mix of big pharma and holistic. So, okay, obviously Don being a major supporter of the Wakanda management model, he is applauding. Now, Don, let me get your thoughts on that whole behemoth of a bombshell that he gave. What do you think that means?
Oh, he's got the shout outs to Wakanda first off. He said Wakanda 4 times in that quote.
Yes, that's right.
Well, the big thing that I find problematic is how fast does he think innovation happens? How fast does he think he could change Big Pharma, who has so many lobbying groups in the government? Why does he have to shout out Nipsey Hussle? Why does he have to say there's a documentary?
It's okay. Let alone how fast he can think innovation can happen. How fast is his mind thinking here? Like, he's jumping around so much, and the fact that he did mention Nipsey Hussle, I think what he's trying to say here, out of all due respect, he's saying that he's not going to get murdered for, publicizing a potential cure for AIDS, right? Because if I recall correctly, you might correct me on this one. One of the things that Nipsey Hussle was investing in was a documentary about some doctor, maybe it was the African doctor, that allegedly had discovered the cure for AIDS, but due to some government bureaucracy and the powers that be, this was repressed. This was kind of suppressed from the knowledge of everybody. So when things started ramping up, though, when this became more hyped up and the publicity was brewing, I guess Nipsey Hussle might have been a target. That's one of the conspiracy theories out there. I'm not sure if there's too much stock into that, but Kanye seems to be pushing that, right? Like, it seems like he's promoting that whole conspiracy about Nipsey Hussle being murdered because he's exposing the truth and kind of bridging the gap between pharmaceuticals and, holistic science.
Sure. Well, I mean, I believe there's a cure for everything out there.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So there's a cure for COVID-19?
Yeah, out there somewhere.
Oh, maybe you mean like it hasn't happened yet, but it's in the process of happening.
No, I think it's out there. You know what it is? It's fucking staying home and sheltering in place.
Wow.
That's a cure.
Great PSA. Great PSA right there.
I'm just saying.
For me, I read this part and I just think, well, first of all, he claims that a lot of Africans do not like Black Panther. I guess he knows better. I haven't talked to a lot of people from Africa, so maybe he knows better. But the fact that he goes from like being one of the most powerful humans and then clarifying that there are a lot of alien level superpowers. What do you think that means in particular when he goes into alien level superpowers.
I thought he was just fucking riffing when he said alien level, to be honest.
Okay.
But it could be referring to powers that even surpass his own
Mm.
as an icon. Something that even controls maybe his industry to a certain level.
Hmm. Maybe he's looking at those inspirational idols uh, like a Bill Gates used to be, maybe Walt Disney, a Henry Ford, like all of these pioneers of their industries, even to Elon Musk, right? If you look at what Tesla's doing, if you look at what SpaceX, the Boring Company, all these different, thought children of Elon Musk, it is pretty impressive. And I feel like Kanye is the type of guy that does respect success, right? If anything, if you are more successful than Kanye West, he will listen to you and he will make you one of his advisors, because I think one of the other, little sections over here, if I can pull it up, he does talk about, I guess, Kim being one of his advisors, right? I can't seem to find that. Oh, okay. Yeah. His advisors right now, he says, are the two people who notably endorsed him on the 4th.
Oh my god,
His,
wait. Before you get to that,
uh-huh.
right before that, he has no campaign apparatus of any kind. Oh, he's talking about Biden there? Or is that
I
him?
think I think that's still Kanye. I
Yeah,
think that's still
I'm
Kanye.
sorry. Okay, I'm just like, he has no campaign apparatus of any kind.
But what does that mean, though? Like in terms of campaign
He has
apparatus?
fucking no idea of what he's doing. That's what it means.
I think it means he doesn't have like a traditional campaign.
No, it's not even. Well, maybe. He's not doing it the, like you say, traditional route. He's doing the independent route as he's going. So, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just trying to mention that the only two people that are basically confirmed advocates of Kanye West are, of course, his wife Kim and Elon Musk, who he took a picture with recently on Twitter. And apparently, with Elon, they've been talking about this for years. And the cool thing for, I guess, all of the Tesla fans out there, Kanye West added, "I proposed to him to be the head of our space program." Obviously.
He doesn't even say NASA.
He doesn't say NASA. He doesn't say NASA. I would imagine he would redesign NASA to be SpaceX.
Can you
right?
imagine? That would be fucking weird. Elon's just trying to play Kanye just so he can get a hold of NASA.
Oh wow, yeah. If this is like a whole ploy, like a ploy within a ploy, by Elon Musk to take over NASA, that would be something else. That'd be something else. But I I don't know what to make of all this still. There's a lot more information to go through, but just reading about these things, like, it seems so not well thought out, right? Like, you jumped right to it. He has no campaign apparatus of any kind. He name drops Elon, and he, talks about Jared Kushner a couple times. Like he says in the quote before, "I'm speaking with experts. I'm going to speak with Jared Kushner, the White House, with Biden." And of course, this was before he actually announced his bid, before Kanye announced it on the 4th. But I'm just thinking, that's not a really long list of advisors. That's not a really long list of experts. Jared Kushner, who's firmly entrenched in the Trump administration, who shouldn't really support West in any way in this endeavor. Maybe giving him some friendly advice, that's one thing. But Kushner can't really be there for Kanye because he's literally working for Trump. And then you have Biden, who probably doesn't know who Kanye West is. And even if he's told who Kanye West is, a day later he might forget who Kanye West is. A little zinger thrown at Joe's way. So I don't know. It's weird to me, though, that, his experts and the people he wants to talk to are basically all involved at the highest level. And I guess he's looking at that as something to reach to, right? Like, if you're going to talk to somebody about politics, about running for office, why not go to people who are already in the White House, who are competing to get into the White House? It's a philosophy that I guess I can understand. If you go to like the NBA, a lot of the younger stars, like let's say a Devin Booker, he looked up to Kobe, and he went out to Kobe, sought him out, wanted to do lessons with him, drills, training, whatever it was. So I get that. If you want to be the best version of yourself, look at who is already there at the top of the mountain and join them. But when it comes to politics, do you ever see this happening? Do you ever see like a fledgling candidate, somebody who's trying to make it, basically reach out to the people at the highest position and say, "Hey, I'm coming for you, but can you give me some advice on how to do that?" Isn't that weird?
I think it's super weird. Well, I don't know enough to really weigh in. I would expect that these potential political incumbents would rather go to the bigger powers that influence government, that influence or that have the giant lobby parties and things of that sort instead, because ultimately those are the people that you'd want to be pleasing.
Do you think Kanye even knows what lobbyists are?
No, but I'm sure he could fucking freestyle and put the word lobby in it.
Yes, you can. And one of the last things in this article, before it goes section by section, just in the intro, it says, he holds forth on pretty much everything else and occasionally breaks into spontaneous freestyle raps with the quote, "If I catch a vibe, I'm going to catch that vibe." In one sense, I think, isn't that just hilarious? Like, there's a real human being out there who has a tremendous platform, who is talking about running for president. But during the interview, from time to time, he finds a couple of lines that rhyme, just like I did right there. And he's like, "Oh, hold on a second, let me throw some more bars on there." And then he jumps back into the interview, and he requests the interviewer not to interrupt him, while he's going through the bars. I thought that was something else, something that only Kanye could get away with, I suppose. So let's just go through section by section now. What do you think about this? On his natural political party, he says it right here, ladies and gentlemen. "I would run as a Republican if Trump wasn't there. I will run as an independent if Trump is there." Does that surprise you in any way?
Nope.
By the way, would you like a moment to maybe drink some water?
Yeah, I'm coughing on something.
Oh my God. Should we take a TO? Should we take a timeout? How about, okay, Don, how about you do your thing? Drink some milk of magnesium, some Mylanta, whatever it does, help your gastroenteritis out.
No, man. See, I think what's causing
Yeah.
it is fucking. We picked up some food from Bad Mash and we
Yeah,
had fucking Vindaloo, and that shit was fucking with my throat right now.
because it was spicy or acidic?
Yeah, because of those goddamn ghost chilies.
Well, hey, I
Oh, I
thought you
got the
said you
hiccups
could
now.
handle it. I thought you
Fucking
said you
hell.
could handle those.
Hey, bro, I said I could only do one line of that halal guy's red sauce.
That's true.
So
That's true. You weren't me. You weren't me. That's true.
I'm just
But
saying.
please, to take some time,
Oh,
maybe
I
drink
am.
some milk.
I'm muting myself whenever I have
Yes,
to cough.
please do. I will kind of go through with more detail for the next one here. So, with the political party, I think, it was well known that Trump was a supporter. I mean, sorry, Freudian slip there. Kanye was a supporter of Trump. He wore the MAGA hat and everything. And clearly there is a relationship between those two political figures. Curious of me to call Kanye a political figure already, but I guess he is. So it doesn't surprise me that Kanye says something like this. And also, I know that he's very much anti-Democrat. He has this gripe, this grudge almost against the Democratic Party, because I guess in his view, the Democratic Party has taken the African American vote hostage without really giving anything back to the African American voters. I was looking at some figures the other day. It was something like 80 to 90% of voters that identify as African American actually vote Democrat. And that is a very high number, and it holds true for many years. If you look at the historical data, it has been like that for quite some time. And I think what Kanye is saying, and this was a part of this sentiment, was echoed by the likes of Charlemagne the God as well. He was basically saying, you can't just expect us to show up to the polls and vote for you anymore. You have to deliver something to us. You have to actually deliver on some of your campaign promises and help us, help our communities. And then you are worthy of our vote. Then you are deserving of our vote. So I think Kanye is looking at it at a more extreme angle, while Charlemagne the God is saying from another perspective, hey, Democratic Party, what are you doing for us lately? That kind of thing. On his previous support for Trump, I touched on this, Trump is the closest president we've had in years, Kanye's quote, not mine, to allowing God to still be part of the conversation. And this is where it really starts. And I think, Don, if your throat is clear enough, you might want to jump in on this because I know you have something to say about Trump. Uh, oh, sorry. Go ahead. Are you there?
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, all good, all good. So, just to set you up again, in here, Trump is the closest president we've had in years to allowing God to still be part of the conversation. Obviously, we know with Jesus as King and the recent turn of events in Kanye's life, he has looked to God, he has looked to his faith to inspire him musically, philosophically, just through his life journey. And now he seems to really identify with the fact that Trump is trying to do different things to bring God within institutions that are usually, in the past, separate from God. So what do you think about this movement, this potential bringing back God into the forefront?
I think it's a great move. That's it.
Okay.
No, I think it's honestly okay. If I'm gonna be honest, I think
Yeah.
Kanye for some reason has become a very, very faithful person over the past couple years, and he's using Trump's name and his connection with his own faith to sort of bolster the possible politics he'd want to do if given the opportunity to be president.
You might be onto something there. I think there is a surprisingly large population of people in the United States that are clamoring for, God's presence in the classroom. I think it was years ago where the Pledge of Allegiance had the line. What was it? Was it the beginning of the Pledge of Allegiance where you say put your right hand over your heart, ready begin? But there's something with God in there, right?
Let's actually look that up.
I mean, how sad is it that two extremely patriotic people like ourselves can't remember the entire Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance. Are you looking at the Genius website, the Rap Genius version?
No, I'm on UShistory.org. One nation under God.
Oh yeah, One Nation, so under God. That part has been taken out, I think, at least in schools. I don't know if they still do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I have no idea. I remember we used to do that stuff, basically, almost first period or zero period, whatever you would call it.
That's right.
Start off the day strong.
Mm-hmm. So it is an interesting topic, though, because nowadays, with America being such a melting pot, and we know more about different religions than we did years ago, I think it becomes more controversial if somebody of prominence takes the stance that, hey, we should bring back God into schools, into these government institutions, instead of keeping everything separate. Let's combine church and state a little bit. Because in his opinion, in Kanye's view, by bringing back God, by bringing in God into the mix, people will be healthier, people will be happier, and the whole world will kind of move a little bit better. But how do you see this playing out? Like, say he does implement some kind of a policy, forcing all, schools and institutions to have and feature God in some way. Do you think that would piss off a lot of people?
Oh, it's going to piss off a hell of a lot of people. Come on. I mean, I know you're setting me up for it, or setting it up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Southern Belt will, of course, be applauding him. And all other... probably Wyoming will be applauding him. Mm-hmm. Things of that sort. But for all these other states that are more open to... what can be quote-unquote immigrant religions, they would be appalled, to say the least. Let alone those that live in, pro-choice states or jurisdictions where they may be agnostic or atheist even, or may not even believe in the concept of religion,
So I'm glad you mentioned the pro-choice aspect of it, because obviously Kanye is saying he is pro-life, and his justification being he's following the Bible. Now, I think it is true that for people who are Christian, specifically Catholic, variety of Christianity. And you might be able to attest to this. It is very common to be pro-life. I think a lot of Catholics believes in the teaching of the Catholic Church, and as well as releasing gas expeditiously whenever it has the urge. But I want to get your take on that. Do you think, let's say you are a Catholic individual,
Sure.
and you are president, do you think your personal views on religion and your personal faith should play a role in how you run the country, or should you look at it differently, and should you separate your personal beliefs and values from running the state?
On a personal level, I think you should use whatever religion you follow and believe in as sort of like a moral compass. It should definitely influence your decision making, but it should not be the driver of such decisions. If anything, it can be the main kind of influence on whether or not you should do things, especially when it comes to ethical approaches or ethical decisions. But when it comes to the president, I feel that they need to set aside their own biases, and by biases, religion also kind of influences it, and make decisions that would be for the betterment of his or her people, rather, or his or her country.
I got you. And I think the president of the United States, for a long time, maybe not the one in office particularly, but for a long time has been very religious, and
Oh yeah, you remember that, right? He basically, what was it, a month ago, cleared out a park with police just so that he could hold a Bible in front of the church, right?
I remember that distinctly, because during that photo opportunity, the way he was holding a Bible looked so unnatural.
So weird.
It's like he was weighing it in his hand.
Yeah.
And I think to the press in attendance, to the media snapping pictures, he was saying, "Bible, it's a Bible." I was like, what? Who does that? Who stands in front of a church with the Bible in hand?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he's never opened up a Bible in his life.
Do you think he knows a passage, like any kind of?
I'm sure, through some of his meetings and his business acumen would fuel some knowledge of the Bible, and I do think he would be able to quote some phrases. Whether or not they would be the exact location and the exact citation, that's questionable. But I'm sure he could cite some phrases.
You're probably right. And touching back on Kanye, on his MAGA hat moment, everybody remembers, might have been 2 years ago, when he had that meeting with Trump, and he was wearing that red MAGA hat, glowing with pride the whole time, just smiling from ear to ear like a kid in a candy store. He says, "One of the main reasons I wore the red hat, as a protest to the segregation of votes in the black community. Also..."
This is the best part.
I know, the best part. Also, other than the fact that I like Trump hotels and the saxophones in the lobby.
The saxophones. I read that and I was like, why? Oh, why?
Like, it's so random. It is just so out there, but it's par for the course for Mr. Kanye West. I just have to say, I look forward to reading these kind of interviews and even watching interviews of Kanye, not because I agree with everything the man says, farthest thing from it, but it's just so awe-inspiring to me to know that you have this individual that's capable of so many things. Like, here's a guy that can be buddy-buddy with Mr. Trump one day, and then on the following Sunday do a Sunday service where he's rocking out crowds of tens of thousands and inspiring tons and tons of kids all over the world to get into his style of music, to get into gospel music.
And what makes me think, what if this is so deep and he's just on another level? He calls out the saxophones in the lobby because it's some reference to a Duke Ellington sort of thing with the saxophone, and how he relates that to a powerful black man or an influential black musician, and then links it to the MAGA hat. Oh, dude, You gotta smoke a joint to that and see how deep you can go.
I think all of these references and double entendres will be on the next album whenever he comes out with it. We'll definitely hear about the Duke Ellington reference, which I totally missed. By the way.
Right? Yeah, I'm just saying, you gotta sit back, kind of let it all sink in. You know, it takes a little time to marinate.
Got you. While you're sipping one, right?
There we go. Sip one. Chocolate.
Chocolate. Classic. I got to use that chocolate someday. So moving on
Zeitgeist.
Discussions. The Zeitgeist, of course. The Appalling Zeitgeist, which was the title of our last episode, by the way. On discussions on race with the White House, Kanye says, "One time I talked to Jared Kushner, who was saying, we don't have black leaders. We just have hustlers. Why? Because they killed all the black leaders." And then, very quickly, in parentheses, requests for comment from the White House and the Kushner companies last night were not immediately returned. Naturally. Now, do you think this is a real quote? Do you think Kanye is saying the truth here? Like, Kushner really told him that?
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, whether it's taken out of context or, said jokingly or misinterpreted, may not be a direct quote, but I'm sure in Kanye's head it was a real quote. It was a real saying from Jared Kushner.
What do you think it means?
Do
you want to get into that? Or should we
no,
move on?
I don't want to. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Whew, dodged a bullet there.
I could even tell when you asked, "Do you want to get into
I know. Sorry about that tease, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move right on to Democrats now. What does Kanye West think about Democrats? He says, "That is a form of racism and white supremacy and white control to say that all black people need to be a Democrat, and to assume that me running is me splitting the vote. All of that information is being charged up on social media platforms by Democrats. And Democrats used to tell me, the same Democrats have threatened me. The reason why this is the first day I registered to vote is because I was scared. I was told that if I voted on Trump, my music career would be over. I was threatened into being in one party. I was threatened as a celebrity into being in one party. I was threatened as a black man into the Democratic Party. And that's what the Democrats are doing, emotionally, to my people. Threatening them to the point where this white man can tell a black man, if you don't vote for me, you're not black." Obviously, Kanye is referencing the now infamous interview that Joe Biden did with Charlemagne the God, where he closed by saying, "Hey, if you're still trying to find out who to vote for, then you're not black." He said something like that. And, the funniest part to me was, in the moment, Charlemagne the God didn't even get bothered by it. He was like, "No, I'm just trying to say that, the Democratic vote has always or the black vote has always gone to the Democratic Party, but I want to know what you're going to do for us. There's still plenty of time. A lot of things can happen. We need you to come back and talk more." That's what I'm trying to say. But then the media took that Biden quote and took it to the extreme, like, wow,
in a
Biden's
great way. Fucking great way. I loved it.
I suppose so. So this is a very interesting statement, and I think this is the crux. This is the foundation of the reason why Kanye West is not like Democrats. I think he feels strongly that, and this is the same thing that I think Candace Owens liked to say, the Democratic Party has, quote unquote, enslaved the black vote and not really giving it the proper respect, not really giving the African American community something to really benefit from. They've just kind of taken it for granted that, black people in America will always vote Democrat and will always have that loyal fan base. But now Kanye is questioning, conservative analysts like Candace Owens and radio personalities like Charlemagne the God. They're all questioning, well, why are we so loyal in the first place to the Democratic Party? Rightfully so. Go ahead.
No, I think this is just Kanye's way of, one way or another, trying to wake up the black community to not feel pigeonholed into following whatever the Democrats push down their throats. To voice your opinion and to know there's another side that could be sometimes better than what is usually option A, B, C for you already. I don't think it's too much to go too deep into.
I agree, but I will say on this point, not just for a specific demographic, but even like for myself, growing up in
In
the
the
north side.
streets of Santa Ana.
Well, no, I didn't grow up there, but on the north side of Torrance, the hard streets of Torrance, nestled in between Lawndale and Gardena, and Carson for that matter, um, I distinctly remember most of my grade school teachers were a little bit more on the liberal side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
They definitely were Democratic, just from like some comments about, presidents in power, that kind
Sure.
of thing. And it made me realize that I don't know about you, Don. I can't speak for you, but for me, I've almost been conditioned to view Republicans as evil and Democrats as good.
No, and I think that also comes with even beyond grade school, middle school, high school. We went to the University of the California or of California system, which is known to be very, very leftist.
Oh, by the way, before you go on, do you remember the chancellor for UCI, Chancellor
Yeah,
Drake?
yeah. Shout out to Michael Drake, dude. He is now the president.
That's right. He's the president of UC, like all of University of
the
California.
regions or something like that, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
whatever that means.
That's
But
our
good for him.
dude. That's our dude.
That's our guy.
Yeah, because
That's
he
our
was
guy.
ours when we were there, I think, too.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. Hell
Fond
yeah.
memories. Fond memories.
Oh
of
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
it.
We used to kick it at the pub.
Oh, yeah.
He would
Oh, yeah.
slam a couple. He taught me the whole sip one.
There
sort
you
of
go.
thing. It's a,
He
quote,
was the
sip one.
originator.
Michael Drake.
He was the real Drake in our eyes, not the Canadian version that always loses to Pusha T and the beefs. But so I think you bring up a lot of good points here. It's not just grade school; it's a continuation through
Yeah.
University of California, Irvine,
Yeah.
and the fact that we're kind of in this bubble on the West Coast.
Mhm.
Now, I think you and I, we try to be a little bit more knowledgeable about the world, and we try to look at things, in terms of pros and cons.
Sip
We
one.
oftentimes sip one, chocolate. Oftentimes we play devil's advocate and try to challenge each other's opinions and
Sure.
find flaws, find holes. And by doing so, I think we can kind of appreciate different perspectives on different topics, especially in politics. But it does go without saying that this type of conditioning may be more regional, right?
I
Like
think
maybe
so.
if you grew up in the Bible Belt, for instance, maybe you're not taught that Republicans are evil because Republican people, senators, councilmen, congressmen, they're all kind of around you and they are helping your community in different ways. They may have different values, very drastically different than the ones in the coasts, East Coast and West Coast. But, it's all about the upbringing. I think a lot of us are products of our own environment. And, we are not the exception. We follow through that trend as well. So moving forward, on how the race will be decided, Kanye says, let's see if appointing is at 2020 or if it's 2024, because God appoints the president. If I win in 2020, then it was God's appointment. If I win in 2024, then that was God's appointment. So he's basically saying, trust in God. God will deliver. And this again ties back to what he was saying before, how he likes the idea of reintroducing God into all facets of American life.
Sure.
Do you kind of agree with the sentiment that God appoints the president?
Yeah, well, as a faithful man myself, it's something of that sort.
Okay. Fair enough. I cannot question the faith of a faithful man, or a man that says he's a faithful man. Sip one. There you go. On the coronavirus cure, we pray. We pray for the freedom. It's all about God. We need to stop doing things that make God mad. Now, this to me sounded a little crazy. I don't know about you. I mean, no knock against religion, but this is a bit much, isn't it? On the coronavirus cure, he's talking about praying for freedom. What does he mean?
I have no idea why that's even in there. To be honest, I don't. Like, I read this and I was like, we pray. Okay, cool. We pray for the freedom. What? Of what?
From the corona gods, or like what's happening?
And then he goes about, it's all about God. We need to stop doing things that make God mad. Sure. So I allude that he is kind of trying to You know, I'm sure you kind of remember this or may have known this, the parable where God sends waves of like locusts, kills every firstborn child, things of that sort. And this may be another wave of punishment by which he believes God is doing to us.
There is some interesting parallels there, because a friend of mine shared with me a couple of these Instagram posts where somebody was saying, different reasons why COVID-19 is happening. Like, this is the universe kind of restoring karmic balance. Maybe the universe was being abused in some extent. Maybe, people were running amok, doing things negatively for the wrong reasons. And now this is kind of an opportunity to recalibrate, to rebalance the universe.
Sure, but isn't there, what do you call it? Like, just to straight up, I get you're going to go into it, but before I forget, isn't there the whole, or there's a theme in, like, physics and astrophysics where things constantly are bound to basically fuck up over time?
Yeah, it's the law of entropy.
There we go.
So,
like, why wouldn't that, then that contradicts that, right? Like, if something's trying to correct itself, that's not following the law of entropy.
I think the law of entropy doesn't really fit in with astrology very well, if you know what I mean.
Got
I
it.
think when it comes to
science or science.
that reminds me of the picture of, like, there's a meme of, like, these three dragons, a three-headed dragon, and, like, the first head and the second head are super serious, like, they're tough looking, but they're also kind of looking at the third head, and the third head is like this, like, dimpy looking guy with, like, big eyes and the tongue sticking out, like, hey guys, I'm here. But moving on from the coronavirus cure,
let's go on.
his thoughts on vaccines, which is, I think, the most interesting part of this whole article. It's so many of our children that are being vaccinated and paralyzed. So when they say we're going to fix COVID is with the vaccine, I'm extremely cautious. That's the mark of the beast. They want to put chips inside of us. Well, Elon Musk is trying to do that with Neuralink, right? They want to do us all kinds of things to make it where we can't cross the gates of heaven. I'm sorry when I say they, the humans that have the devil inside them. And the sad thing is that the saddest thing is that we all won't make it to heaven. That there will be some of us that do not make it. Next question. I was like, what? Wow, that was epic. That was epic. So, Don, this is straight up your alley, right? Anti-vaxxer, just like yourself.
True statement. True statement. No, it's super reaffirming to me that Kanye is taking his whatever preacher he is gaining this information from very, very seriously.
Yes.
And it's like, do I say no to him? No, he's entitled to his opinion. Mm-hmm. But why are you going to be so against vaccines and putting chips inside of us when one of your two advisors is doing that?
That is true.
You know,
maybe he missed the article on Neuralink that we went over in the podcast.
Elon was like, yeah, let's just make sure not to mention that. Let's talk about batteries and cars and stuff like that. Yeah.
So what do you think he means when he says that's the mark of the beast?
I forget the phrase, but it's used in the Bible sometimes, in the New Testament, where it's almost like tattoos are also marks of the beast. And I have a big ass tattoo on my back. It's just ways that are, for lack of a better word or phrase, to keep things simple, things that kind of are devilish in nature. So,
wow, this is actually breaking news. When did you get this big tattoo on your back?
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, I got it in not college. Sorry, grad school.
Oh,
yeah, man.
Wow. Yeah, well, what is it of?
It's my last name in the old school Filipino writing down my back.
Oh, like down your spine?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty big. Like each, it's 3 characters, and they're each about the size of my palm, which is typically a little bit bigger than other people's.
Ah.
It's like 5 by 5 each character,
Wow.
give or take.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. You're a very colorful individual in more
yeah.
ways than one.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Sip one, sip one. Chocolate.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think this also ties in with the whole, like you said, his relationship with God is so strong that he's letting a lot of his decision making, a lot of his worldview, completely be determined by, I guess, the Catholic Church. It seems like, if he is Catholic, could just be Christian, probably just Christian. On deciding to run for president, it's when I was being offered the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Awards at MTV, as Don alluded to earlier in the podcast. I remember being at my mom's house, my mother-in-law, because my house was being worked on. She calls me son, and I call her mom. I was in the shower thinking I write raps in the shower. It hit me to say, "You're going to run for president." And I started laughing hysterically. We were too, Kanye. We were too. I was like, this is the best. I'm going to go out there, and they're going to think I'm going to do all these songs and do this for entertainment, how rigged the award show are. And then I say I'm going to run for president. And I just laughed in the shower. I don't know for how long, but that's the moment it hit me. Interesting. I actually thought that was kind of sweet. Like that was a real, moment from Kanye's history. And I guess it shows that he had this thought earlier than a lot of us knew.
Yeah,
Right?
dude, what makes me think, though? I mean, yeah, it's nice, it's sweet. Yeah, if you're a kid, Like, oh, I believe I'm going to be a president of the United States. Oh, that's cute. Good luck, kid.
But he was like 35 when he
Yeah,
did this,
yeah.
right? It's like,
And it's like, it makes me wonder,
yeah.
does Kanye think every thought that he has to become truth? Like, for
Why
us,
not?
we have plenty of thoughts in our minds.
But what's wrong with always believing you can speak something into existence?
There's nothing wrong with it, but there's a point where you basically become hospitalized when you believe you can do anything. There's a thought that kids can fly if they jump off the roof of things. And sadly, they learn the hard way that, oh, well, maybe I'm not the smartest, and these thoughts that I have should be influenced by smarter things rather than the imagination that many kids have. I don't know. To me, he's turning something that he thought was a joke into a reality and believing it like that joke is a sign that he should do it. To me, it's all the wrong reasons. Like, you shouldn't want to become president because you were writing raps in the shower and it just so happened you thought of becoming president. There should be some other influence like, oh, I want to get rid of all student loan debt. I want to provide access to education for all people. It's not, oh, yeah, I wrote a rap. Oh, shit, I could become president. Well, fuck, I'm going to become president now. No, fuck that.
Well, okay. Again, to play devil's advocate here, what if it's like, that you're capable of a lot? Like, I know you yourself, Don, you believe in yourself. You believe that you can accomplish a lot of things.
Sure.
And sometimes you realize that you may not have all the answers.
Sure.
But you find your way. Somehow, someway, you find your way through. What if Kanye is doing the same thing? Yes, maybe it's funny just to say it out loud. Like, oh my God, did I really just say that? Am I really going to say on national TV I'm going to run for president? How wild would that be? Is that even possible? I don't know. I don't even know the first thing to get started. But it's such a lofty goal. If you believe in yourself, don't you think Kanye believes in himself in that way? And he feels like whatever it is, he'll find a way to accomplish being president.
Yes. Yes. And I think, yes, it's good to do that and to have that belief in yourself, no matter how far-fetched it may be. But there are natural stopgaps in normal people's lives, normal entrepreneurs' lives, that don't allow them to live out those lavish claims and ideas that Kanye is doing right here and what we're talking about for the past 50 minutes already.
Has it really been 50?
Yeah, it's been
Jesus.
54 minutes. 54 minutes. But it's like, yes, you and I both believe we can do a ton of things. You believe you can run the stock market.
I don't. I don't. No, I don't.
You believe in yeah, I'll stop. You know, there's natural stopgaps that are more often than not financially driven. It pisses me off that he, who has a ton of money, is trying to turn this joke into a presidential campaign and slowly adding on his, what's the quote up top? His political agenda, or what was the exact words? Where he doesn't even have one set, you know?
Campaign apparatus.
There it is. Campaign apparatus. Well, basically, his political agenda. He doesn't have one yet. He wants to fucking model it off the Wakanda. You know, like
that to me was so funny, because even in his explanation of Wakanda, he got sidetracked with the alien superpowers, and then he goes, "Oh, let's get back to Wakanda."
Yeah, because he probably wanted to start rapping to it or riffing off of it, and then he was gonna laugh and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. Actually, the Wakanda is the way to do it." Yeah, fuck that.
Probably, and I, for this one, Don, I say we go over a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna go over.
So moving on to foreign policy, and I thought this was interesting. He says, of course, I haven't developed it yet. Yeah. First bit of humility from Mr. West.
There you go.
I'm focused on protecting America.
Yeah.
First, with our great military. Let's focus on ourselves first. So let's kind of stretch that out a little bit.
No need. It means no international idea yet. You know, he's saying we're going to close our borders, and I'm going to focus in on this for 4 years. Great.
Close our borders.
You know what I mean? Like, great. How's trade going to happen?
Let's continue what Trump started and build a wall against Canada as well.
Fuck, dude.
So we talked about the abortion. Now, on being a political novice, and again, more humility from Mr. West, I have to say with all humility that as a man, I don't have all the pieces in the puzzle. As I speak to you for what a political campaign, a political walk, as I told you, because I'm not running, I'm walking. I'm not running. We the people are walking. We're not running anymore. We're not running. We're not excited. We are energized. Someone can say, "Hey, I got a brand new car for you. It's across the street. You want that car? You want the car across the street?" And you got so excited, you run across the street and get hit by a car trying to run to your new car. That's how they control the black community. Through emotions. They get us excited. We're so excited. But then for 400 years, the change truly doesn't happen. That was heavy. That was heavy right there. So
it doesn't answer the goddamn question.
Yes, it does. In the very first sentence, it does. But then the rest is crap. He basically says,
"I don't know shit.
I don't know anything, but I'm starting. Like I'm a baby that's learning to crawl before I walk, and then we're all walking. We're all walking now. We're running now. We're walking now. We're energized. We're excited." Like, golly, this guy just
it's just frightening. Like he's digging himself deeper and deeper into a hole.
Is he really though?
Yeah. But the thing is, that hole's getting big enough for everybody to fucking follow him into and fall in.
and they'll probably lay down so Kanye can climb out of that hole.
Yeah, basically. Right?
That's the thing I always wonder with Kanye. Like, how's he gonna get out of this one? That's the oftentimes.
Well, the thing is, it's Kanye. He'll find a way to get out of it and spin it off. Worst case scenario for this whole thing is he's getting promotion. His name is basically across all news outlets right now, all media outlets, and his album is coming out. So if anything, he's getting promotion from it. Secondly, he's going to become a political figure. He's diversifying what he does. Even though people may question his political agenda that has yet to be truly defined, he'll eventually develop one. I think he has the ideas. He just hasn't really set them in stone yet. Except for, if it doesn't follow God's plan, it's not on it. Right?
Dude, honestly though, I feel like he gets all of his real information from a limited group of people. Candace Owens, 2 years ago, right? I think she was basically with him all the time, going to TMZ. They were on Twitter, talking about different stuff. Remember that quote he had on Twitter? "I love the way Candace Owens thinks." That became a thing, right?
Sure.
And then even now with this, obscure preacher from Wyoming, like you said, this woman is definitely influencing Kanye to the full extent and changing the way he operates on a day-to-day. So much so that if he were to become president, I think everything would be driven by God. Everything would be for God, for His glory. And maybe some people like that. Maybe that appeals to a wide swath of America. Swath or swathe. I never know how to say it. We're going to go with swath. Swath of America. Now, on the need for racial healing after George Floyd, touching on some topics we have definitely covered in the past. Well, God has already started the healing. Of course, he says God has started the healing. This conversation alone is healing and revealing. We all need to start praying and kneeling. Another bar after that. But when a rhyme comes together, I'm going to complete it. Not inside the lines created by organizations that we know is our reality. What? The schools, the infrastructure was made for us to not truly be all we can be, but to just be good enough to work for the corporations that design the school systems. We're tearing that up. What we'll do is we're not going to tear up the Constitution. What we will do is amend. So I think the one line in there that stuck out to me, and I think there's some truth to that.
The three bars.
Sure. On top of the 3 bars, though, in the middle of it, the schools basically gearing you up only to be good enough to serve in a way.
Yeah. And the way that he cites it at the end, saying the corporations are the ones that designed the whole system itself, the school system. That was deep.
I think so.
And, if he goes in with that mentality, it's basically influencing what we were mentioning earlier, or I was mentioning at least, of how, big companies and like big pharma that he wants to take over are the ones that you truly have to tackle in order to invoke change. So I think he needs to, connect the dots a little bit. And you can color outside of the lines, but you need to connect the dots first so you know where the lines are.
Connecting the dots is great, but don't tell him to color the month of February, and I'll tell you why. Oh, one other thing. Black History Month. That is torture porn. That is torture porn.
Yes, I know you would have to repeat that.
Because when that comes up, what we do is we see, and by the way, if I get that vibe, that's a process. Yeah. And we're going to be a beautiful, uplifting, fun, creative process as a people, as America collectively, and show the world how great we are. So here we go. Black History Month. Every year they got to remind us about the fact that we couldn't vote. They, meaning white supremacy construct, and I said that with a CT at the end. A CT at the end. I knew what I was talking about. Our minds are so much more infinite than what's coming across TikTok or Instagram, who you and your wife both happen to have massive followers. What's trying to influence our children and the next generation of who we are. So what was that? What was he talking about there?
Again, I think it's one of those times you got to sit back, smoke something, and then you can learn a little bit more about this.
Okay, but before you continue, I specifically want to zone in on this part. White supremacy construct, and I said that with the CT at the end.
Hey, he's just flexing on his vocabulary.
His vocabulary or his enunciation? I didn't say construct, I said constructa.
Yeah.
Constructa. CT. I don't know.
I think it's... Again, he has the ideas, but he's getting too artsy with it. I think he's somehow relating Black History Month to how social media is driving our young generation's habits. And, we could get into that debate of whether social media is good or bad, but, we won't.
We won't delve into it, but what we do have to delve into is Kanye having COVID-19. Chilled, shaking in the bed, taking hot showers, looking at videos telling me what I'm supposed to do to get over it. I remember someone had told me Drake had the coronavirus. And my response was, Drake can't be sicker than me. Okay, that was Kanye laughing about it. So this is a kind of a bombshell news too. He rather nonchalantly admits that he had COVID-19. Yeah. This wasn't made aware by any paparazzi, by any TMZ outlet. So if true, it might have been one of the few things in Kanye's life that was very secretive, very private.
Sure.
And if that's the case, I'm glad he's feeling better. It sounds like he's good now. But I hope that he doesn't, take the easy way out of this campaign by saying, Oh, I'm one of those long COVIDs. Like I got those long-term effects, and yeah, amnesia hit me, and like all these different loss of taste, loss of sight, loss of sound, loss of Yeezy. All these
Jeez.
things hit me hard. But I don't think there's a whole lot to comment on that. But the fact that he mentions Drake, why do you think he mentions Drake here?
No idea.
Mm,
No idea.
mm.
I mean, it's like he's again promoting himself.
Maybe he's trying to show that, like, hey, young kids who may not know who I am, I'm on par with Drake.
Jesus.
Drake is
Yeah.
kind of old too, but I'm on par with him. Uh, on a side note, uh, you probably heard, or maybe not, there's this song from like Pop Smoke's album. Pop Smoke had passed away recently.
Mhm.
A rapper that I guess was very well received by the hip hop community. I unfortunately didn't really listen to his music, but I could tell that he was a meaningful person in the music scene today. And so there was this track featuring Young Thug and a special verse by Pusha T. I don't think it was part of the regular album. It might have been on the deluxe edition. But Pusha T, as you would expect, he took a shot, or several shots rather, at Drake, calling him a snitch and calling him this, that, and the other. And it was kind of subliminal. Like, people didn't really get it at first until maybe it was exposed later on. And so Young Thug was like trying to distance himself from Pusha T. Pusha T snapped, went at Young Thug a little bit and said, hey, the only reason you're on that track is because I requested you. Don't get it twisted. And so I thought maybe by Kanye dropping the Drake reference here, he's trying to bubble up some beef for his, president of good music, Pusha T, trying to help his career along a little bit. Not that he needs help at this point, but it's my little conspiracy theory. But we'll keep running through this. And speaking of running, who's running in 2020? Kanye West. God just gave me the clarity and said it's time. I was out there, ended up in the hospital. People were calling me crazy. I'm not crazy. Between all of the influences and the positions that we can be put in as musicians, you go on tour, you put out all these albums, and you look up and you don't have any money in your account. It can drive you crazy. Though all of that, I was looking crazy because it wasn't the time. Now it's time. And we're not going crazy. We're going easy. It's a whole nother level now. NOTHA. So this is interesting to me because this is just crazy Kanye, and I'm gonna call him crazy over here. If you search for the word crazy, it shows up as like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna count Yeezy as one of those crazies. So 5 total crazies in this paragraph. I think we know though that it takes a little bit of crazy to run for president in general, and if you're Kanye West, you come with boatloads of it. Now, somebody who may not be as crazy as Kanye, but some would say is a little bit sleepier than Kanye, is Joe Biden, who some people like to call Sleepy Joe Biden. A lot of times, just like political parties, they feel all blacks have to be Democrat. This man, Joe Biden, said, if you don't vote for me, then you are not black. Well, act like we didn't hear that? We act like we didn't hear that man say that? That man said that. It's a wrap. We gonna walk all the people. Jay-Z said it best. Still waiting for Watch the Throne, by the way. Please, end your fences and come out with that album. Stop this nonsense bullshit campaign. Just make the album with Jay-Z. For the other candidates, I just gracefully suggest y'all bow out. Trump and Biden, gracefully bow out. It's God's country. We are doing everything in service to God. Nobody but God, no more. I am in service of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I put everything I get on the line to serve God. What do you think about that, bro? What do you think about his take on Joe Biden?
Well, first off, he's talking about God a hell of a lot. Doesn't really... He basically answers the question and then starts riffing.
Yeah, it's like,
you know?
But I gotta appreciate this though. I appreciate that he does answer it initially, and then he just has free time. It's like, oh, okay, Kanye, you ate your vegetables, now have fun. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's basically like he just calls out the whole Charlemagne piece that we, or the Charlemagne interview that we were talking about earlier. And it's like,
absolutely.
Dude, we get it. Sure. But talk about the man outside of that. Are you just going to use that and as your platform to dismiss him? You know?
I mean, I get what you're saying. He has to basically develop the way that he's
Yeah.
talking about people. And speaking of developing, let's talk about how he's going to develop these policies. I don't know if I would use the word policy for the way I would approach things. I don't have a policy when I went to Nike and designed Yeezy and went to Louis and designed a Louis Vuitton at the same time. It wasn't a policy, it was a design. We need to innovate the design to be able to free the mind at this time.
He's riffing. Like, he got comfortable, dude.
He's in the zone. He's in the tuck, man. He's in the tuck. He's in the pocket. You know, he's Brady on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the pocket. Plenty of time to throw that thing. He'll be totally fine. But it's interesting to me how he added "at this time." It was totally unnecessary, but he only did it for the rhyming sake. You know, that was the main reason he did that. Of course he did. And I bet you he was smiling at the end.
Yeah, with that big ass smile. Yeah.
Yeah. you know, a model smile, if you will. And okay, we already talked about the Wakanda management model, but maybe it's time to pray a little bit, and he needs to talk about prayer in schools. Reinstate. In God's state, in God's country, the fear and love of God in all schools and organizations. And you chill the fear. Think about that. You chill the fear and love of everything else. So what was the plan by the devil to have our kids committing suicide at an all-time high? By removing God, to have murders in Chicago at an all-time high because the human beings working for the devil removed God and prayer from the schools. That means more drugs, more murders, more suicide. So here he's essentially saying, the absence of God in school is the reason why all bad things happen. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
I agree. I think he's saying the absence of God causes more drugs, more murders, more suicide. That's the simple, like, one sentence, one bar that he had to say. You know?
But, being Kanye, he'll say 4 or 5 and make it hot.
Well, to get that paycheck, you're going to need at least 8. So
There you go. And, sometimes when you get that paycheck, what comes out of it? Taxes. So what does Kanye have to say about taxes? I haven't done enough research on that yet.
There we go. He should have said that for every fucking question.
yeah, I know. I agree. And just pause. Just smile. Just smile at the end and pause. I will research that with the strongest experts that serve God and come back with the best solution. And that will be my answer for anything that I haven't researched.
Jesus.
And okay, Don, you're going to have to explain this last sentence to me. I have the earplug in, and I'm going to use that earplug. For me, an earplug is something that prevents noise from coming in.
Yeah.
Right. It's not an earbud. It's not an earphone.
Yeah.
So do you think he meant to say
Yes,
earphone?
I think so. That, or he has an earplug in, and he's gonna use that and use whatever influence God has on him that doesn't need to be heard. It's one of those unheard things that he feels and knows, that supersedes the physical sort of hearing.
Absolutely. And you know where he bought that earplug from, right? Straight out of China. And on China, when I become president, let me make some promises. The NBA will open all the way back up from Nigeria to Nanchang, and the world will see the greatest athletes play. The world will experience the change in their element. The money is going to come back. I love China. It's not China's fault, that disease. It's not the Chinese people's fault. They're God's people also. I love China. It changed my life. It changed my perspective. It gave me such a wide perspective. My mom, as an English professor, taught English in China when I was in 5th grade. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, a lot of times when I read Kanye West transcripts of interviews, it's like, one of these sentences do not belong. Can you figure out which one? You know what I mean? Like, that last bar is like, what? Okay.
No, it's like a little kid when they're, told to, like, write a paragraph of something, and they got, like, the last 3 lines, so they're like, all right, let's fill this with something. My mom did this, so, yeah, let's put that in.
So, what is he saying here? Obviously, he is going to have a very pro-China policy.
As long as the NBA is in there.
Yes. I like how he goes, when I become president, let me make some promises. He'll just say NBA is going to be all in China for sure. Interesting. But I think China's one thing, and sometimes it's more about the capital. It's about what's happening in Washington, D.C. And sometimes it's even more hardcore than that. It's about capital punishment. So let's talk
wait, really quick. I feel like you had an idea of what it was, and then you look into it, you're like, oh, that's not Washington, D.C., that's capital punishment. Did you pivot?
No. Actually, I didn't know how to go directly from China to capital punishment, so I thought, all right, let's go
Dude, it would have
geographic.
been a good one. Like,
geographic-
you know, like China, the communists over there still believe in capital punishment.
See, how about you take one of the 500 segues that I do? You can easily take a segue, bro, anytime.
There it is.
There it is.
Thou shalt not kill. I'm against the death penalty. There we go.
Straightforward.
Simple.
Straightforward.
One bar.
Hard to argue with that, and
Right.
to be honest, I think a lot of us can actually relate to that. But do you believe in the death penalty, or should we skip? Should we move on to the next
No,
one?
I mean, I think it's a good thing that we could dive into really quick.
Okay. Okay, we can move on to the next one. We can move
Well,
on
it's
to the
like, I
next.
don't know. Like, I do and I don't.
Okay.
I'm assuming there's various levels by which it would have to be kind of circumstantial. So, yeah, no, I'm for it.
Okay.
I mean, dude, honestly, for you, would you rather have someone get the death penalty, or would you rather be paying taxes for him to live 60 years on your dime?
I think it depends if it's something personal for me.
Sure.
Um,
So it is circumstantial then.
it is circumstantial because, like, say it was somebody that wronged me in some type of way,
Yeah.
and maybe the only thing that could calm me down, the only thing that could satiate me,
It's God.
was if that person ceased to exist. Then it's interesting.
Yeah,
I think.
you'd be the one that's like raising your hand. Can I inject them? Can I
Oh
crank
no,
that?
I don't know if I would go that far. but another thing is, like, I mean, this is getting a little twisted, but say somebody really, really wronged you, and of course this
Sure.
is messed up, and I don't think about this actively, but what if in your mind you're thinking the best type of revenge is not a quick and easy revenge like this,
Oh, I get
drug.
it. Yeah, you gotta let him suffer. Yeah.
Let him suffer for like the rest of his life, like spend
Sure.
the rest of his life in prison and watching the news from time to time, seeing all the great things happening outside while he rots away in there
Sure.
and suffers. That's a different kind of satisfaction, I guess, if you are of the belief that, hey, I want my revenge, I want it best served cold
So,
and repeatedly.
Word of advice to everyone: never wrong Arjun. He would make you suffer rather than end your suffering.
I hardly.
So what we get is Arjun is all for capital punishment.
I'm actually not. I'm actually not for capital punishment because I feel like I think people, like, to be honest, this is me being objective and being very not I don't want to say intellectual because I don't consider myself intellectual, but very, very thoughtful at this moment. I think everybody should be given at least an opportunity to become a better person, even if they commit the harshest of crimes. I think at least a chance has to be given to them.
What if they're like serial murderers then?
Well, but here's the thing. I think a chance has to be given to them. But if they fail, right? If they fail, then that's their fault. And they have to live with, solitary confinement or, just maximum security and just a very, very miserable existence for the rest of their life in a prison cell. But I do believe in rehabilitation. I do believe that a lot of people, they can learn to be more productive members of society through the right conditioning, through the right people in their lives, and really being shown the way. I think a lot of young people, they just simply don't have the guidance. They don't have the role models in their lives to show them, hey, like, you can actually make it out doing honorable things, doing noble things, doing things the right way. I think it's too easy to be caught up in the drugs, the gangs, the crimes, the violence, and before you know it, your life is over or you're in the jail. So, that's my 2 cents. I feel like for a lot of things out there, even if it's very heinous crimes, I think a chance has to be given to repent and try to make better of yourself. Maybe you figure it out along the way. You still have to spend your life in jail, but I just don't think death penalty is the way to go. I think death penalty just means, oh, you're done. Like, no, you don't even get a chance to think about it, really.
Sure. So you're more or less in line with a 2-strike or 3-strike sort of approach.
Not necessarily in the sense that, oh, you do a crime, I'm not going to arrest you. I don't want you to go to...
But, well, like if we scale up the heinousness of the act, and they were all of top level.
Yeah, I mean, I think lock them up. That would be my 2 cents. Like,
See,
you know,
so you're all about suffering, then, man. You're all about
well,
suffering. I get it.
if the alternative is instant death? I would say lock them up. You know, see if they show any signs of wanting to change. See if they show any signs of wanting to become a better person. If so, then great. Then maybe there is a path to, make amends. But if not, then you can stay there. You can suffer there. Because sometimes suffering that way is a fate worse than death itself. Speaking of death, though, hard transition, but police killings. One of my to-do lists is to end police brutality. Excuse me. The police are people too. To end laws that don't make sense. Like in the George Floyd case, there was a black guy, and I have to read this carefully. There was a black guy that went to jail, and it was his first day on the force. So if it's your first day on the force, and it's your training day, and this OG accredited cop with 18 violations already starts filing out, are you going to jump in front of that person and lose your job that same day? Especially in the climate when 40,000 people lost their jobs? This man was put in a position where, and also he probably didn't realize that the cop was going to take it that far. He probably was so scared and shot, paralyzed, like so many black people. I'm one of the few black people that would speak openly like this. Now,
Respectable.
This is an interesting take. Do you find it somewhat ignorant of the simple belief that doesn't matter if it's day 1 or day 1000, if you sign up to become a cop, you have to uphold the law, and that should be, prioritized over any kind of deference you show to an OG accredited cop?
No, not saying it that far. I'm saying it's more of a, he, in this particular statement, is trying to play devil's advocate, similar to what we do. And he's just using one example as to why that particular example about George Floyd can open up the dialogue on police killings beyond what's shown and spread across mass media.
I guess it is a different side of the coin. You never hear about that perspective, actually. You never hear...
Or you very rarely hear it. I've heard people talk about it, but very rarely.
Probably because it's not so popular. Maybe it may be controversial to say, but interesting. And obviously, different people have different priorities. And on his other priorities, he says, clean up the chemicals. In our deodorant, in our toothpaste, there are chemicals that affect our ability to be of service to God. So I have heard this from many people before. Like, hey, make sure your deodorant doesn't have aluminum. And I checked the next evening. I'm like, oh, fuck, it has aluminum. What do I do?
It's like 21% too.
Yeah, heavy with it. And then the toothpaste as well, like some kind of fluoride in the toothpaste fucks you up. And then, other chemicals too. And do you kind of agree? Like, do you subscribe to this clean living mindset?
I try to. We had this thing in my public health program for graduate school where we did, I think all of us took like a 1 month or a 30-day sort of fast on chemical products, and you have to pick one. Some people chose not to use shampoo because there's phthalates in it. Some people chose deodorant because of the aluminum. Some people decided to take only cold showers because hot showers are supposedly bad for you. There's a lot of things that could be done. It's one of those things, again, that he's going to have to tackle big companies on and fight. Because these are, in some cases, known carcinogens that are still in everyday use because they do a damn good job at doing what they're intended to do, not necessarily the side effects. So I think it's always the pros and cons when it comes to the topic of chemical use. Right? Like Roundup, for example. Great at what it did. Oh shit. 20 years later, you figure out it causes cancer.
Oof.
Oof.
It's that's why it's so important to have a really good slogan for a company like Roundup. You don't want to mention the cancer in your slogan, but it's very important. And on his campaign slogan, on Kanye's campaign slogan, he goes, well, my second album is called Late Registration. I got a rap. The other thing is, my campaign is Kanye West. Yes, not yep, not yeah. Yes, yes, yes. When I'm president, let's also have some fun. Let's get past all the racism conversation. Let's empower people with 40 acres and a mule. Let's give some land. That's the plan. And I know Don, for one, can't wait to get his 40 acres and a mule. He's been talking about it all day.
I'm trying to get like a quarter of an acre, not even a quarter of an acre. It's just so, you know.
And the mule is pending. The mule is still pending.
Mule is pending.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and I'm kind of stealing your thunder here. What kind of animal would you really want? If the government would give anybody an animal of their choice,
Sure.
what would you request?
I would. Let me think here.
A tiger? You want to be the tiger?
No,
king?
I don't want to be the Tiger King. No, it's too scary. Too scary. I'm trying to think of what could actually really, really impact my economy. Economy.
Your personal economy?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
A horse?
No. What would a horse do?
A horse would be your transportation.
No,
Duh.
fuck that. You gotta like fucking feed it. You gotta park it somewhere. People can steal that shit without a key.
Hey man, it takes some money to do the car maintenance too.
Man, no, I'm thinking like a cow, right? Because you get milk. You
That's
could
lame.
you could use its dung as fuel.
Yes,
Yep, as
yes,
fuel.
yes.
Hey, I just learned, by the way, in India.
Oh, of course he would say India because he talks
No,
about cows.
hear me out.
Go
Hear me
ahead,
out. They use cow dung as a source of fuel, especially back in the day, right? And that's why they were able to develop, or like the cuisine is really driven towards like low and slow cooking. And like almost stews, because you gotta like develop the flavors over time, which can only be attained with low and slow heat, which is what cow dung uses. Yeah, man. But like that's another one. Maybe some chickens.
So you basically want a farm, right?
Dude, I'm trying to get myself a farm. That shit would be fantastic. What's another one? Maybe a panda for the fuck of it. You know, sell it as a tourism spot. I don't know if it would last in California.
Actually,
weather.
Don, you know, a panda would be perfect for your new place because I think you have some bamboo in there, right?
Oh hell yeah! You could eat that shit up right away.
There you go.
Fuck.
Kill two birds with one stone, or one panda for that matter. Golly.
What would you do?
I was thinking it'd be kind of cool to have like a wolf.
Yeah, okay.
But because it's like I've never had a dog before. I think
you're missing
a dog.
out, man.
I know. I think a dog would be fantastic. But what would be like the next step? Like, you know, in Game of Thrones, like all the Stark children have their own dire wolf. It's like a giant wolf, but it's super cute and cuddly at first, and then of course it's like super cool to you, but it hates everything else. Like everybody else is the enemy, but to you, oh, it's the friend for life for sure. You know, I think that'd be kind of cool. But beyond that,
I gotta say, do you know what a tapir is?
I don't believe so.
You gotta Google it. That's my spirit animal.
Okay, how do you say that? How do you spell it?
Tapir.
Okay, I've seen this before.
Yeah, man, that's my spirit animal. It's like if a pig, anteater, and panda got it on.
Wow, sounds like your undergrad career right there.
Dude, I'm just saying.
I like how the lifespan is also kind of close to us, 25 to 30 years. It's like we're not doing too bad. That is tapirs. I will also say though, I think I like. Oh, by the way, the mass of the leanest tapir, the mountain tapir, is 330 pounds.
There we go. There we go.
But the Malayan tapir is 550.
There it is. We're going with the Malayan tapir. That's my choice right now.
How big are these guys, man?
Dude, they're like little tiny rhinos.
Oh man, you okay? Interesting. I'm gonna get some comments from one of my friends because you said that. That'll be interesting though. Do you like the design of it? Like it looks like there's
Yeah, it's like that two-tone going on. It's like it was like God was like making a zebra and was like, you know, for this one, I'm a little lazy. Yeah. Just one brush stroke of white.
I'm gonna use the fat brush for this one. One stripe down the back.
And that made it happen, and there was no undo function at the time, so he's like, all right, well, it's going out like that.
There you go. Somebody will call it a spirit animal. Somebody will like this guy.
Shit.
But this was cool. You know, I don't think we expected to do a damn near hour 40 on the Kanye article, but we did, and I thought he had several interesting, very entertaining points that he made. A lot of it was basically admitting that he doesn't know anything.
Sure.
He has to
Well, no. Well, not admitting, kind of showcasing he doesn't know anything.
Showcasing with pride his
There we
ignorance,
go. There we go.
his lack of knowledge. But okay, tell me this now. I know it's early. It's only July 8th. We're still many moons away from November 3rd. But if you're there, walking in to the ballot box, you see Donald Trump, incumbent, Republican Party. You see Joe Biden, challenger, Democratic Party. And then you see Mr. Kanye West, birthday party. Who are you voting?
Well, first off, I'm going to unmask my Black Panther mask that I would be wearing in there. I'm going to tap both shoulders with the
Yes.
opposite arm and make a cross motion,
Uh-huh.
and I will be screaming "Wakanda Forever" while checking the box next to Kanye West.
Actually, you're gonna forget to check the box. You're just gonna scream "Wakanda Forever" and run out.
And just walk out.
You'll be like, "What the hell?"
No, and the best thing is, other people are going to be doing the same thing. Look.
Like, talking about wasting your vote in more ways than one. But I think it'll be an interesting next few weeks to next few months. Who knows what Kanye will bring us next? Hopefully more music. Hopefully more interviews. Ideally, I'd like to see him on some kind of a TV show now. Maybe back to TMZ, back to late night or something. It'd be really funny. But we will probably, unless Kanye does something really crazy, we'll try to mix it up next time. We have, I don't want to say boring, but we have entertained the people enough with
I
Kanye
think
West
so. I think so.
and his comedy stylings. Enough for some time. So we will move on to something more interesting. And from Dawn's Tapir and my direwolf, we will say woof woof and whatever the Tapir says. And have a nice weekend, everybody. We'll catch you on the flippity flip.
Later, everyone. Peace. Oh shit! I don't want to hang up on you. I gotta end this. Ooh, that's getting captured.
Okay.
All right, flippity flip, flippity flip.